Hey, what's up, guys? This is Colin Reese. I wanted to talk about why I think tactical manager and 11 Yanks are so bad for American soccer and why I consider them Twitter ISIS. The main problem I have with tactical manager and 11 Yanks is that they're just so insulting and obnoxious to people for no reason. One thing you'll notice with both of these people is they like ridiculing people rather than providing any sort of actual criticism. And a kind of example that I can think of recently was there was a video out of some guy dribbling where his dog was taking the ball from him. And 11 Yanks tweeted out that the dog was better than DeAndre Yedlin and Reggie Cannon. And I guess this is supposed to be hilarious, but this level of mockery and criticism just crosses the line from comedy to just being ridiculous. DeAndre Yedlin has played for Galatasaray for a couple of years now, and Galatasaray is one of the two big clubs in Istanbul, which is actually the biggest city in all of Europe, and they're frequently in the Champions League, and no one that's bad technically plays for Galatasaray or gets within 100 miles of the club. So mocking a starter for a club like that, and saying that they can't even beat like someone's pet dog, just crosses the line from criticism to mockery. And it's supposed to be funny, but it's not funny in the sense of that they're like kidding. They're serious with what they're saying. It's just the funny part is they're just saying the dog is better than you, but it's not intended as like some sort of lighthearted joke. It's just total disrespect to someone that's a professional athlete. And it is fun to joke around about sports and about players, but the type they do is just, for someone that's not even a professional athlete or anything, to mock a professional athlete to that extent is just pathetic and crosses the line. And the other player that they were talking about is, of course, Reggie Cannon, who left MLS and is playing in Boa Vista in Portugal. And his intention was to go to a bigger club. And his club actually stopped him from making a move. And then because he wanted to make a move, they kind of punished him for a while. And he wasn't there, making him ride the pine. And so 11 Yanks is the one that made this dog joke, but Tactical Manager is another person that frequently mocks Reggie Cannon too. But he's an excellent right back that's not only better defensively than any of our right backs, but he's also really good. He's really good in how he attacks down the sideline. He's really aggressive in his runs. He's got like a really big engine. He's really direct, and he can cut onto his weaker left foot to play nice passes with both feet instead of just kind of running down the sideline and hitting blind crosses with his right foot. So Reggie Cannon was someone that did everything he was supposed to do. He made the jump from MLS to Europe and was trying to go to a bigger club. And these two guys were mocking him because this was a time when Joe Scally had started impressing in the Bundesliga. And so their idea of fair criticism is if they see a player that they think should start, then anyone else that's in contention with that player should just be mocked like they're totally awful and they suck. So this is kind of the mindset of these two guys, and they just continually pester and harass people on social media. And there's just really no decorum whatsoever or respect. And it's not like I said earlier that two people there are just joking around. It's just a total absence of any sort of respect or propriety. And it gets so old because they really just focus on anyone that's in MLS is the problem with the U.S. men's national team. And you'll never hear these two really go into tactics or formations in any detail, or discuss how the team's circulating the ball. And it's, for a while now, their big scapegoat has been Sebastian Lletget. And Sebastian Lletget is a 10 or a second striker, and he also plays as a wing. But in Greg Berhalter's system, he was playing in the three-man midfield. And when he was playing there, he was frequently playing essentially as a right midfielder, because when we've been doing the three-man midfield, there's been, instead of having like a defensive midfielder with two box-to-box midfielders in front of him, which is how it's supposed to be, it's frequently like a horizontal line where the guys that are the eights are actually playing as the right and left midfielder, and then Tyler Adams is in the center, and he's supposed to be the defensive midfielder, but he's kind of just playing as a center midfielder. And the teams we go up against, they frequently park the bus, and there's usually two blocks of four. So there's four midfielders and four defenders, and they sit back. And then someone like Sebastian Lletget, when he gets a pass from the center back or like the right back behind him, there's frequently no one to pass to, and there's like three or four opposing players in front of him, and no one on the team's making any runs. And so occasionally he'll hit a back pass, and these guys are just latched on to this back pass phenomenon, and it's really common. Anyone that plays elite soccer, they hit back passes all the time. But if you watch Lletget play for the U.S., there's usually like three or four of them, not that many. And the game these guys really harp on all the time was a game against Panama. And in the same game, Lletget played like three soft chips over the defense that were right to the feet of one of our attacking players. And if they were a little better, they would have first timed those. And one of them was in a scoring position, and it was to Areola. And I think he actually hit a shot. It went wide, or it wasn't that great of a shot, but it was a decent shot. But I guess he could have done a little better, but he didn't like shank it or anything. And stuff like that, these guys just ignore. And so their inability to really understand how the team passes and moves and the different formations that are possible make it so that they just hone in on whoever the MLS player is that's playing, or sometimes there's more than one, and that's really kind of all they bring to the table. And their whole online existence is just mocking any mention of like the MLS players. So if there's any tweet dealing with the national team that mentions one of those MLS players, they just ridicule those guys. And their idea of kind of soccer analysis is no matter if the team just doesn't play that great, then the solution is that if we were to have one of our other guys in Europe just plugged in to the spot of Lletget or something, then everything would be magically better. But one thing we've seen is when Adams, McKinney, and Musa are playing, no matter how like exciting and dynamic they are, they never provide or never set up like any scoring chances through the middle. So there's never any final balls to Pepe or just any like chips over the top of the defense. There's kind of diagonal balls played out wide to either one of our wings in the front three or one of the outside backs, but there's not a lot of scoring chances created and not really any service provided to Pepe. And so all of this just goes kind of undiscussed by 11 Yanks and tactical manager, and they just insist on ridiculing anyone that's in MLS, and that's kind of all they have to say. And so for anyone that's a U.S. men's national team fan, when you go on Twitter, you're just constantly assailed by the followers of these guys. And if you look closely, you'll notice that essentially none of their followers have a picture or their first and last name, and they frequently don't even have like a first name. Obviously some people don't want their full name on Twitter, but these guys really love ridiculing and mocking players that are good players that are too good to be receiving this kind of mockery. And it's always from these anonymous accounts where frequently there's not even a first name or a picture. And it's really just kind of ruined my experience with the U.S. men's national team the last year. I used to be a lot more active online, following the team and interacting with people, but these guys have been just so obnoxious that it made me not want to interact as much and just kind of watch the games.